also just want to give a shout out to Jeremy, who won the Wing Challenge at Super Bowl party. Is this me? It's me. Is it me? Okay. Where is Jeremy? Sorry. Are you here? All right. Good job, Jeremy. He took the heat. He won a TV. We are still awaiting details for the Valentine's event, but if you're going to be on campus, stay tuned. We'll send out an email with details about what's going to happen tomorrow night for Valentine's. And then baseball and softball are chasing sunnier pastures for their games this week, so those games won't be happening. And the basketball games have been moved to 2 and 3:45 for the women and the men on Saturday. So please come out to support your basketball teams this Saturday. All right, so today we are having a Valentine's Day themed chapel. Hopefully it'll be a little fun, a little light, a little different for you. First up, we have 2 teams that are going to play a Family Feud game. Thank you to those who took our survey yesterday at lunch. We have the top answers that they'll be guessing. And then after that, we are going to have some of our staff and coaches coming up with their spouses to talk a little bit about what they have learned about relationships in their years of marriage. And we will be taking questions. So as you listen, if you have a question that you'd like to ask them, be thinking about it, and we'll open it up for Q&A at the end. All right, let's get started. Manji.
Alrighty, if we can have our contestants come up, please. Okay, if you guys are playing, you guys gotta come up here. There's only one group? Oh, it's just you guys? We're the winners.
This is an opportunity. All right, you guys, this is an opportunity because the other team did not show. 1 showed. 2. Well, you got to come up. Where's your team? The winner of this gets a $250 gift certificate to the Alley in either Hutch or Salina to go play games, eat pizza. Do we have 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. We just need 5. Oh. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3. We can take 2 of you. Mary? Are they here? Yeah, they're right here. Oh. Oh, okay. Come on up. Okay. Sorry. They're here.
Oh, so that's the original team? Okay, we're going to have one team line up this way, and then one team line up this way. No, you guys got to line up this way. Right here? Yeah, like line up like they are. Shoot. All right, Mary. Bro, you guys got to line up. Oh, we got a next person. All right. So I'm going to give you the mic. You're going to tell me your name and if you are single or taken.
Hi, my name is Mary and I'm single.
My name is Quavon and I'm taken. Amari, taken.
I'm Kobe, single.
Jerome, single.
Josh, single. Peyton, taken.
My name is Jaden, I'm taken.
My name is Courtney, I'm taken.
My name is Nadia and I'm single.
I'm Amanda and I'm single.
Alrighty. So yesterday in the CAF, we gave them questionnaire. We gave all the students questionnaires, and the top answers are gonna. I have the top answers. We're gonna pick. So we're gonna go Mary and then Amanda. Basically, how we're gonna do it is when I say the question, slap the chair. First one to slap it gets a chance to answer. We don't have a buzzer. No budget. Alrighty. So the first question. Besides babe and baby, what is a common term of endearment? I got Amanda on that one.
Love.
That is the number 2 answer. So, Mary, you have a chance to take it.
Honey.
That is the number 1 answer. So far, they have taken the lead. Okay. Now we're going to go next 2. Okay. Alrighty. What is okay? Let's get you guys up close to the chair. Alrighty. What is another word for love?
Admire?
That is not one of the answers.
I got it.
You just need one of them.
Another word for love? Shoot, amo.
What?
Oh, endure.
Endearment is the number 6 answer. So you get it, but that was horrible. Yeah, because you guys didn't answer, and then they got endear. Nah, it's my family feud. It works like that. Okay, we're going to go number 3 people. Alrighty. Name a famous couple in the Bible. Joseph and Mary is the number 2 answer. You have a chance to steal.
Adam and Eve.
That is the number 1 answer. Alrighty. Okay, ready? Alrighty. Besides a teddy bear, name a stuffed animal you get on Valentine's Day.
A bunny.
That is the number 2 answer. You have a chance to steal.
Let's do a rabbit.
A rabbit is technically a type of bunny, and that is not on there. So, therefore, bunny gets it. Okay, we're going to have our number 4 contestants come up. Alrighty. What is a popular Valentine's Day gift?
A bear. Stuffed bear.
A stuffed bear is the number 3 answer.
Flowers.
Flowers is the number 2 answer. Therefore, they get it. Yeah. No. Okay. We're going to go back to the number, unless Josh, you want to? All right, so Josh and Amanda. Okay, ready? What is a popular saying on a conversation heart candy?
Kiss me.
That's the number 3 answer. Okay, the question was, what is a popular saying on a conversation heart candy?
Be mine.
Be mine is the number 1 answer. Right now, they are destroying you guys. Okay. All right. So now it's going to be you and you. All right. According to 1 Corinthians 13, love is. I got you.
Shoot. I forgot the kind.
That is the number 2 answer.
Patient.
Patient is the number 1 answer. There might be a small comeback coming. Okay, this is going to be a good one. Good one for Q. Ready? What is an excuse used to break up with someone? Who was it?
It's just not the right time.
It is not the right time is not an answer that someone wrote down.
It's not you, it's me.
It's not you, it's me. That's the number 1 answer. I know many people have used that before. We're going to do like 2 more. Just finish out the questions, even though you guys are destroying. Alrighty. Next up. Okay, Mari, Jaden. Alrighty. Name a filling you would find in a chocolate.
Caramel.
Caramel is the number one answer. Alrighty, let's see if I have any more questions. Okay. You ready? Name a popular chocolate brand.
Hershey's.
Hershey's is the number one answer. Okay, I think we're coming up to our last question. All right, last question of the day, even though we already got it. All right, we'll go two more questions. All right, what is the most romantic language?
French.
French is the number one answer. You have just cut down the lead to like 7. Alrighty, so we'll do last question. Alrighty, so you ready? Josh, this one's you. Okay, I hope I didn't ask this one already. Oh wait, did I ask the baby, babe, what is the common term of endearment? Yeah? Alright, we didn't get the movie ones. Alrighty, they have won, they absolutely destroyed this team, so it was not even close. So you guys win your $250 gift card to the alley. Yeah, you guys won. So you guys are going to split it all. Well, no, like you guys all get in, you guys all go together.
Let's give it up for Q's team. All right, you guys get to hear from Coach Tony and Lindsay. You get to hear from Coach Moody and Summer, his wife, and you get to hear from our Director of Admissions, Alex, and his wife, Emily, who's also teaches here. So come on up, you guys. I have invited them to share just something that they have learned about being in a relationship for the long haul. So why don't you guys start by introducing yourselves and how long you've been married, and then they're each going to share a little bit, maybe some stories, and when we're done going through the 3 couples, we'll open it up for some Q&A for you guys, okay? You guys have mics? Alex, you guys want to start?
My name's Alex, and this is my wife, Emily. So we've been married for 13 years. So, yeah.
I'm Kyle Moody. I'm the athletic director. This is my wife, Summer, and we've been married for 17 and a half years.
Yeah, that is. Hello? I'm Coach Romero. This is my beautiful wife, Lindsay, and we have been married going on our Jordan year of 23 years. So.
So I think first relationship advice, it's kind of twofold. One is don't settle. I know that sounds horrible, but honestly, I promise you're going to find someone in life. Just don't settle, because you want to find someone that is going to build you up and encourage you and challenge you, and that's what she does every single day. She keeps me grounded, and also don't assume the worst. So I think when you're looking at, I'll give you a quick story. I worked at a grocery store probably about 4 years, and one of our very first fights, we get back from our honeymoon in Colorado, and we go to Aldi, and we just stacked up our cart with a bunch of groceries, and I get back, and we're unloading them, and then all of a sudden, she just starts shoving all the cans and all this stuff into the cabinet, and I just turn, I'm like, what are you doing? It's got to be all stacked up and nice, and we just, I don't know what it was. It might have been just all the stress and stuff, but we just kind of, that was our first fight, and I just assumed like she would know, cans. If you want to get corn, you want it easily accessible, right? All facing, and she just looked at me and was like, why are you freaking out about this? And so anyways, I just think just don't assume the worst in your spouse, and just know that they really do care for you, as long as you found someone that you guys are equally yoked. And so, yeah, that's my advice.
And I wrote notes here. Okay, so, and to be fair, I like to put things in and then fix it after. So I was getting there, right? Okay, so my advice would be to appreciate the little things. I think it can be so easy with social media and seeing all these big, fancy ways to celebrate each other. So I think little things after 13 years, like always making sure my car is filled with gas, changing baby diapers in the middle of the night, whenever he's home, taking the lead on potty training, and letting me sleep in and taking the breakfast chaos sometimes. Because marriage is a long haul adventure. There's ups and downs financially, emotionally, physically. And I think for us, when we first got married, I was student teaching and Alex was working part-time and going to school. And we had car troubles, so needless to say, finances were a stretch in all meanings of the word. For some reason, the stress of it all hit the fan for me. In the case of being mad, we didn't have money for anything extra, like getting a pedicure. I'm not really sure why I gave that example. I had only ever gotten one a handful of times, but, lots of stress. I remember Alex immediately got up because if you know him, it's like, I must fix everything right away, and went and got my nail polish out of the cupboard and did my nails. It was the sweetest thing and a tradition he continues to this day, as well as painting our daughter's nails now too, which is super cute. It's this sweet act of service from a hard time in our first year of marriage that's encouraged me through. We lived overseas and 3 pregnancies and all these different things that he's just continued on. So I think that's just something like when you see them doing something small that you appreciate, just build them up in that and they can become fun traditions.
Well, I'm going to start out with saying, first of all, Summer and I dated for 5.5 years before we got married, and that was all because I wasn't ready to get married, to be really honest with you. I think the biggest thing we've learned in our relationship would be, number one, honesty and communication. Whenever we communicate with each other, we are always honest about it. Even if it's brutal, I can share my innermost thoughts, my innermost feelings with her, and she can do the same. That was one thing that we set, even actually before we got married. I said, anytime that we communicate, we have to be completely honest with each other, or we can't. This relationship won't work. And the other side of that is that our relationship with Christ always comes before our relationship as a married couple, and then our relationship as husband and wife always comes before our relationship with our kids. And we set those rules, those boundaries early on. And are we always good at them? No. Do we put our jobs and our kids before our marriage sometimes? Yes, but we always have we always go back to the rule. Like, hey, we broke the rule. We have to go back and have that conversation. And then the last thing I would say, 2 things. Number one, when you're married, pray out loud with your spouse. Pray out loud with your spouse. It's something that we do. We haven't done it in a while, but we do a lot because that makes it tangible that Christ is in the middle of our relationship. And then the last thing, which I think is lost on your generation a little bit, and I'm going to bring this up to you, is that love is a choice. I wake up every day and choose to love Summer. It's not just the feeling that I have in the moment. I choose to love her every day, and I hope she chooses to love me as well, but I'm a little bit harder to love than she is, I think. But so if we're being completely honest. And I'm going to have Summer actually share a little story about choosing to love, and I'm going to hand the mic off to you.
Before I say that, something else that we try to do a lot is we try to laugh together. So if there's not humor, if you don't have like little jokes between the two of you where you can just look across the room and make a smirk or a face to one another and you just know what the other person is laughing about. Sometimes Lindsay and I are better at that with one another than we are with our spouses, but we're working on it. We see each other a lot. But yeah, laughter is so important. So even if it just means to do something really funny to the other person, sometimes we do that too. So just a little joke. We dated for 5.5 years, and when we were, I keep this handy, and we have props. Grabbed it this morning. We planned this morning. So when we dated for 5.5 years, and then when we got married, we wanted to just take a trip to the west for our honeymoon. And so we traveled, went to different national parks, and just drove all the way to California and just took our time for that week. And we stopped at the Grand Canyon, and we had had such a wonderful time. It was on our way back, right? So on our way back from California, having a great time, just, loving marriage. Man, we waited all this time, and here we are, enjoying life and all the scenery and everything. And we went to the Grand Canyon, and we got there kind of in the middle of the day. And if you've ever been to the Grand Canyon, if you want to go down to the bottom, like climb to the bottom, you have to start really early in the morning. But we started, midday, and we got quite a ways down, and it was very hot in June. And he wanted to keep going, and I wanted to stop and turn around and head back. And we came to a point in our very early marriage where I looked at him and thought, I'm ready to annul. And and I was like, I don't know that I want to follow this man the rest of my life. It was a struggle. And so we both put our feet down, and we were like, nope, we're not going any further. And he was like, yes, we are. Anyway, I don't remember, to be honest with you, how much further we got, but I think when we saw people coming back up from being down at the bottom, we were like, the sun is starting to go down, and so maybe it would be a good idea to go ahead and head back. So on our way back up the Grand Canyon, there was a gentleman that was nice enough to take our picture. And he took our picture, and this is us coming out. Ooh, that's shiny, sorry. Coming out of the Grand Canyon, literally after an almost annulment type of fight. And so every day, I look at this on my dresser and realize that we have to choose to love one another, even through the fights, and even through the disagreements, and just go in different directions. We have to choose each other every single day, like he said. And we did miss the bus going back to the main entrance of the Grand Canyon, so we did have to walk a very, very long way after we had walked way down into the Grand Canyon. So I was still very angry, but then it was cold at that point, so we were freezing and didn't have enough clothes for that. So anyway, that's our fun story.
I'll talk a little bit first. I think one thing, a piece of advice I probably got from my uncle when I was younger, is when you first get married, I think trying to, and I know everybody's timeline is different, but we met here at Central years ago, and we dated for about almost 2 years or so. We got married while we were in college, so our path was a little bit different. But I remember talking to my uncle. He said, man, make sure those first several years are about you if you could make it happen, and I know, again, people could go right into having kids and their timeline, but I think one thing we had talked about is we were 20 years old, and I think we had our first child when we were, oh, my bad. I think for us, like, given those first few years of marriage, I think helped strengthen us first before you get into the chaos of having children. And I know for myself, that was important too, because when you're, usually the men are the selfish beings in the relationship when you start, because our brains are still not fully developed at that age. So, and so the woman's a little bit more prepared for marriage at that point. But I think what I'm trying to say is, I think given that time for us, I think helped lay the foundation, and how we keep that going. Like, we love to laugh, we love to try to stay young as possible. Because it's easy to just get into life and not have fun together because we have 3 children, 2 teenagers, 1 little daughter that keeps us going too. And it's easy to get in the chaos of all that and not really make time for yourself. So I think one thing we try to do, and we've tried to do throughout the course of our marriage, is get away together. I think it's important for us to keep the main thing, which is our relationship with Christ, but also I think the Moody's alluded to is too, like, when you have kids, it's easy to just get caught up into just being about your kids, and it's hard to just focus on you. And so, like, we took a trip, this fall, but we try to take a trip once a year together, most of the time, if not once every other year. But we went to Disney World by ourselves. We had never done that, You know, we'd act just like a bunch of teenage kids or 20-year-olds riding rides and walking around Disney World and having fun together, you know. And so I think trying to keep the youth in your marriage and the focus and attention onto you amidst the chaos, I think is important for us to do. And so we've tried to do that over the years, and we've had a lot of great memories and a lot of great laughter where we've even traveled just by ourselves or traveled with a couple of friends that are married as well. But to try to keep us and as we go through this. So another thing I would say is like what we share with our kids right now too. You know, 3 things. If I'm going to share with you guys too, I think, and both these couples already alluded to it a little bit, is like Jesus. I mean, keep Jesus number 1, center, foundation. When we fall on our face, when I fall on my face, you know, as a man or as a leader of the home, or as a couple, you know, I think Jesus is the one holding us up foundationally. I think trust and communication would go right into that as well as important aspects to maintaining a healthy relationship. You know, I know she could trust me, and I know I could trust her, and she could trust me, vice versa, back and forth in all things that we do. And I think communication builds chemistry. I mean, the longer you're together with someone, you got to maintain that communication to one another. And it's hard sometimes. Like, we go through our days and, you know, like she's leading different areas of the house than I'm probably leading different areas of the house, and trying to understand and get to a point of understanding on what she's going through in those areas she's leading, and what I have to do as in a different area, leading different aspects of the home. But I think trust and communication and keeping Jesus a part of it. Do you want to add anything? My wife loves to talk on stage, by the way.
I mean, I think you did a good job.
I'll say this too. I think for her, she's a calm to my storm, you know, and I probably bring a little chaos to her calmness sometimes. And so I think balance, I think the Woos alluded to it a little bit too. I think balance is important. And so we're not the same, and that's okay. And so I know, and again, I think it's easier to love her, like the Moody said, and probably a little bit harder to love me sometimes because I'm a little bit more uptight than she is. And so I think, but having that balance is important, and then also staying in a growth mindset. It's easy to tell our team, you know, the best way to improve the team, the guys will probably say this, improve what? Yourself. And so I think for us and our team, we tell each other too, I think we have to be sharpening ourselves to continue to grow as a group. You know, if we're going to lead our family and we're going to lead and serve one another in a leadership way, how do we do that? And I think that's one way we try to do that is to hopefully sharpen ourselves. And what that looks like for me may not look like the same for her. And so, but trying to sharpen ourselves is important, and take care of ourselves so we could take care of one another and take care of our family. So.
All right, thank you all for sharing. Anybody have any questions? Anything.
I'll go. Honestly, yeah, you guys talked about it. We took quite a bit of time. We're kind of like you guys. We got married in college as well. Met at Tabor College, and yeah. So we actually had a lot of time for each other to focus on our marriage, and then that was helpful because when you introduce kids, they're beautiful chaos, right? Like they just they challenge you every single day. You love them, but if you didn't focus on each other up front, that's where I think you see some marriages fall apart, is when they introduce other outliers or other influences into their marriage. So I think for us, like, it was challenging. We were actually in China at that time when our firstborn was born there in China, and you know, it was kind of crazy because if you know, I would get home and I would assume, it goes back to what I was saying, don't assume the worst. I would assume certain things. And for us, it just, when we brought in the kid, it was our son Paxton, it was just really challenging because it challenged us. We were trying to put ourselves second to our kids, and you guys both alluded to that. So I'm glad you guys did that. Secondly, and also, I think the most difficult thing for us was trying to intertwine faith into our kids as well. Just don't be embarrassed. I used to be embarrassed to pray out loud with my wife, and I'm glad I got rid of that. We pray every night, and we pray for our kids, and we introduce that to them too. So if you don't integrate faith, whether you're a believer or not, faith is paramount to success in life. And so, that was some of our biggest struggles there at the beginning, is how do we incorporate our faith and make sure that nothing is stepping in front of our faith. So that was some challenges, I would say. Anything else?
For us, I'm just going to be honest with you, it's money. Because I'm a spender, she's a saver. And when I want to go spend money, she's like, no, we can't do that. That takes away some of her security, right? And I'm like, well, you're taking away all my fun, And so it is, learning how to balance that money. Now, part of our premarital counseling was we actually had to go through that. We went through some stuff together. So we have to come together, and when we first started out, we did budget meetings in our house. And they were tears involved usually on her side, and we're like, and there was like, I would get mad because I'm not like, I want to go do this and I want to go do that. And she's like, I just want to save all this money and I don't want to do anything. We had student loans and all that we had to pay off, and she was ready to get rid of that. And I was like, let's just go have fun. Like, life's short, right? But we had to come together, and I had to understand where she's coming from the money aspect, and then she had to learn where I was coming from like freedom, right? The ability to go do things and have fun. Do we still struggle with that? Amanda, I'm going to tell you, yes, we still struggle with that. We've been married for 17 years. I still want to go have fun and spend money, and she still wants to save money. So we have those conversations all the time, if that makes sense. And so I'll let you kind of talk a little bit about that as well.
Mine's different. So this would be for everybody, but mostly the young ladies. So this is something that I learned early on in our marriage and dating. When we had an argument, don't go to your mom. Right? Do not go to your mom or your bestie or anybody else and tell them all your story. You know who you go to first? You go to Jesus. And then you go to your spouse or your loved one and you have a conversation with them about it. Because what happens when you go to your parents and talk to them about it, it puts a wedge between your parents and your spouse. And we still to this day struggle with that because of things way early on that I would run to my mama and have, Mama, I need you to fix it. I need you to take my side. And that made it really difficult for their relationship early on. And I feel like it's still a struggle for her because she's like, tell me, how are things? Things are fine. We've got it worked out. But that would be my advice to you, everybody, but to the ladies especially.
Well, and I would echo that not just to your parents. Like, guard your tongue on what you say about your spouse to others, because the devil wants a foothold, and so there could be someone that you work with or someone that you know down the street that's like, oh, there's problems. So just guard your tongue on what you say about your spouse.
Guard your marriage.
I would say I think the challenges change as you go through life together too. Some things may remain constant, but a new challenge arises the longer you are in relationship or living with somebody. So I think probably the challenge sometimes, we're around each other all the time. And I know we're not blind to, like, we know what annoys each other. I think loving unconditionally is a challenge sometimes, where, you may have a disagreement sometimes. And I think for us, it's just trying to, all right, how do we put that in the back seat? And again, I know I'm probably worse at it than my wife is. And so, but just being patient through those things. And I think that, like 1 Corinthians says, I mean, love is patient and love is kind, and love keeps no records of wrongs. And I think that's hard to do, when you're in a relationship with someone every day, and the quirks and the challenges of one another. You go through life and you see a rawness to each other that's challenging at times. I think we get to see each other in our best moments, and we get to see each other in our worst moments. And how do we stay loving one another through those things, and then still hopefully model that to our children is man, that's tough sometimes. I think that's a challenge sometimes. So.
Okay, Farrell, I see that. Get all mushy.
You should be up here.
Yeah.
You're the OG.
You led the way.
Oh, are we going first this time?
Yeah, go for it.
How did we propose to each other? Well, I proposed to her, yes. Again, we were young, like I probably could be a little bit more creative nowadays than we did. But it was New Year's Day, I believe, and we were on Christmas break at the time, and we were visiting my side of the family's house, and it was just something simple. I got up, I made her breakfast, a little bit of French toast, sprinkle a little powdered sugar on it, some syrup, made some eggs, some bacon. There was no syrup? Oh, no syrup. I chipped it on their syrup. I had a little teddy bear, brought her breakfast in bed. She just woke up, so she was probably super excited to see me in the morning I brought it to where she was staying and got on my knees, and I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. So that was not too excited, but hey, it worked.
That's right. So when we first started dating, we started dating on December 7th, and then so Christmas was coming up. So on Christmas, and I was living in Lubbock, Texas. She was in Wichita Falls, Texas, and there's a place in between. It's called Benjamin. You probably never heard of Benjamin, Texas before. It's really tiny, but it's got a little canyon there. And so on Christmas Day, I took her out. It was day, yeah. It was Christmas Day. I took her out to watch the sunset at Benjamin. And so that's what we did. What? I'm telling the whole story here, okay? So so 5 years later, we fast forward 5 years later. So after we watched that sunset, we really enjoyed. We used to talk about it all the time. We don't talk about it much anymore, but that's probably why she forgot. But so on Christmas morning 5 years later, I woke her up before the sun was up, and I took her out to the same spot. We watched the sun rise, and then after the sun came up, I proposed with my grandmother's ring, and she said yes. So.
She was very difficult. She doesn't like surprises, so she had her little infantry of friends that was always trying to botch any plan I had. So literally, I'd walk out, and she'd look kind of in my pocket, like look at my pocket to see if there's a little ring box in there all the time. So I had this extravagant plan to go to a movie theater in Newton, and I had it pre-worked out with them to where that they would show slides. It was like one of the, I can't remember what movie it was at that point, but it was a movie that was like on its last day in that theater. So I assumed there was going to be no one in there. And I don't know what happened. Something botched that. And so we're going back, and then anytime we went on walks, she had this roommate that would just follow us all the time. It just made things difficult. So we finally schemed up a plan for her to, hey, look up there. She's a stargazer too. So we were like, hey, look up there. And so she starts talking to herself. We slip out, and we go to our spot where we used to go as a couple. I played football at Tabor, so there was a metal like tower where they record practice and stuff. So we would always sit up there and look up at the stars and just talk. And so we slipped on up there. She didn't even know we were there. She was still talking over there to herself. And so I get down on my knee and I go to propose, and she turns around and like flicks, like almost lost this ring in my hand. And anyway, so anyways, I start trying to sing Love Story by Taylor Swift, and she knocked the ring out of my, and I can't sing, by the way. You don't want to hear me. She doesn't even let me shower sing. That's how bad it is. So, so anyways, thank God I didn't lose the ring. But anyways, she said yes. So anyways, any other details?
My roommate was like sophomore year, though.
Yeah,
Any other questions?
Took a long time.
The question was, how did they know?
Yeah, I'll start this one. That's a great question. I don't know about her, so I'll answer my side of that question. So when I first met Summer, this is going to be bad. I won't be rude about it. I was actually not at all attracted to Summer. She had really short hair at the time. And then I saw her again a year later when her hair had grown out. And then I was like, oh, dang, she's kind of good. Who's that girl, you know? I didn't recognize her. So anyway, you're asking me how I knew it wasn't the right one. The question was that, right? I want you to know that it wasn't all about I was physically attracted. Number one, she's got a really good singing voice. And so, like, she was, like, on CDs and, like, had a band. And so I thought that was really cool because I can't sing. I can't carry a tune in a bucket, right? So I had a list of things, like, these are things that I want out of my spouse. And then I actually told her these things that, hey, I'm attracted to you. I think you have good qualities as a wife. And then she was like, yeah, you're goofy, man. So here's the thing. I'm getting to my story here. I'm very much I'm a black and white person. So I was like kind of done with that. And so she kind of broke my heart, right? And then before the night was up, she called me back and apologized for that. And I was like, wow, that's even more attractive. And so at that point, it was like, hey, I really am more attracted. But when I knew it was the right one, it was when she really said, hey, my relationship with Christ is the most important thing. And that's the thing that I would tell you was the most important thing to me. So how did I know she was one? Because she loved Jesus. Even through all the mess that we went through before, she loved Jesus. And that's what attracted me the most. All that long story, sorry.
Ditto. No, it helped to date for a while, but you have to go through some ups and downs. For 5.5 years, we went through a lot of ups and downs of knowing whether we were the right people for one another. I'm not saying that that's for everybody. I'm not saying you have to date forever, but you do have to go through some ups and downs. And how do you handle those situations? Are you humble enough to apologize, to ask for forgiveness, to be honest with one another, like you said, communicate well with one another? That's a hard one. It's a good question, but ask other people what they think about your relationship, maybe that are older and wiser, that maybe not your parents necessarily, I guess you could, but to ask other people, what they think about this other person. Do you see us being able to work things out together and things of that sort?
To that point, I had a lot of people that are like, dude, what are you waiting for? Like, you're not going to get any better than that, you know? And over the 5.5 years, so.
I guess for me, in high school, I was dating a guy, and I knew that that wasn't the right relationship that I was going to be in. And I remember telling my parents that the man that I was going to marry wasn't central. Like, I knew that. And we got here, and we were in a small group together, and seeing him with staff kids around campus, I knew that I wanted a good father for my kids, and he loved Jesus, and he was, oh yeah, yeah, and he was a cut up most of the time with his friend, and I want to have fun, so I just like, I don't know, I very much felt God telling me that he was the one, and when we had our first conversation, I just had a peace from the Lord that was it.
We have a fun story I could share another time, but on how we how we got together. But I'm not gonna lie, I saw her the first week of school, and I said, "Man, she's bad." So I'm not gonna lie. So I'll keep it completely honest with you. I saw her from a distance, and I said, "I need to talk to her." And so I'm from the city. She's from the country.
But if you ask one of my friends, he said he was going to.
I don't know about that, but I forget that part. But that attraction did draw me in to have a conversation with her and to get to know her. And that's why those small groups are important on Mondays. And so, shameless plug. So, get to your small groups. I would say this. I think how we knew it's a one. When you're dating in college, and I said a piece of advice too, and I tell my guys this right now too. I think some of us are so consumed on finding Mr. or Mrs. Right now, and we're not consumed on finding Mr. or Mrs. Right. I knew when I came to college, I wanted to go back to the city. I didn't have any aspirations to get married, or that was even a part of my thought process. I was coming here to go to school. I loved the school. I wanted to hoop. I was going to hoop, and that was kind of my ideal. And then along came this lady over here, and God kind of shook my world a little bit. And so for her and I think as we started to get to know each other, when you're in college, it's a little bit different because I think the depth of the relationship grows in such a fast pace because you're constantly around each other. If we were to go to different schools and be in an adult world, I think it's a little bit, that time, it takes a little bit more of it to grow in that depth because you're not constantly around each other. I think the more we found that we are in one another's company, I think organically it just happened. I mean, I knew for her and I loved being around her. We laughed, we joked. We had common interests. She was beautiful. She was athletic. You still are beautiful. I'm sorry. Yes, sorry, not she was. Yeah, don't use that word. So I think for us, it was just a piece that and it's hard to explain. I don't think there was like a one, I could point to that one thing, but I think that we knew, once we knew we could be a good team and enjoy life together, I think that was kind of the thing that pushed us forward. So.
Alex and Emily, can you finish us up here?
Okay. So I think for us, we started dating freshman orientation, or we met each other then, but didn't start dating till a little bit later. And we were just very, mature 18, 19-year-olds and broke up a couple times and got back together. But I think that for me, our junior year of college, his brother was a youth pastor. And then over that summer, Alex really started helping and really getting grounded in his faith. He became a Christian his freshman year of college, so we knew each other then and just came from, if you've been in my class, he's talked to my class before, but he just has a really crazy testimony of how God has just carried his family and carried him through. And so hearing that, given the difference in our backgrounds, was just an encouragement to my faith that being a Christian and loving Jesus and having God there for you really does carry you through and can change your life. And so I think for me at that point when I saw him kind of take his faith seriously and just really delve into these kids in this youth group, then I thought, oh wow, he really is amazing. I mean, I knew that. We've been dating for a while, but just that extra push was just this encouragement that okay, yeah, this is amazing. And then just, at that point, I really felt like he was the one for me and God was making that clear for me.
I'll make it brief. Tony, very similar story. I mean, we both met our beautiful women in college, and yeah, similar. I was playing football. We just got back from it was Morning Star Ranch. It was they wanted team bonding. So freshman year, we get back, and she played soccer at Tabor too. So soccer players were already on campus at that point. We come back, and it was, I think it was freshman orientation night. I'm walking out of what looks like a science hall at Tabor, and I had this big football guy next to me. His name was Mustafa, and he was a big O-lineman. He's like, "Woost, you don't have game." And I go, "All right, man, hold my beer." No, I didn't say that, but like, non-alcoholic beer, by the way. So anyways, we step out. Everyone's in the courtyard right there, and he goes, "You won't go talk to anyone?" And so I just start scanning. Legit, I saw Emily, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, she is freaking gorgeous." So I went, started talking to her, and she was with her friend there, and she kind of gave me the cold shoulder. So she had a friend right there too, and I was like, all right, well, I'm a competitive guy. I just started loosely talking to her friend right there, and then she started trying to come back in the conversation. And then at that point, where I felt that we were connected was she made me really find out she was the right one through. It wasn't chasing. It was just like she put me through different, I don't know what you would put it, challenges or whatnot. And she just had this calm presence to her that I felt at peace that, God was leading me to her just from that, going out, opening those doors, seeing her. And from that point on, her faith was actually one of the more paramount things in my life, just seeing how she loved God and loved others and emulated Christ in her relationship. That's something I was looking to do myself. So anyways.
Thank you, guys. Let's just say a prayer real quick, and then you guys are dismissed. God, we just lift up all the relationships on this campus. Thank you for those that have shared their stories today. Bless their marriages, Lord. And God, I pray for all the students here that are figuring out dating or figuring out a relationship. Lord, I pray that you would be in the midst of that and give them wisdom and guide their path. And Lord, I just pray that you would bless today. In Jesus' name, amen.